Picture modern Sydney, the Opera House gleaming, skyscrapers soaring, ferries darting across a dazzling blue harbour. It's a city alive with energy, diversity and sunshine, a symbol of prosperity and success. But rewind 240 years, and this same place was an untamed wilderness, echoing with strange bird calls and the scent of eucalyptus. No coffee shops, no skyline, just endless bush and the unknown. This was the end of the world, chosen by the British Empire as a dumping ground for those it wanted to forget. The contrast is staggering, from a penal colony for desperate souls to a thriving metropolis. The original plan wasn't to build a nation, but a massive jail. The first arrivals were prisoners, not pioneers, sentenced to hardship and exile. Yet from these grim beginnings, something remarkable happened. Against all odds, a new society emerged, one built on resilience and the idea of a fair go. Australia's transformation from prison to paradise is one of history's most unlikely success stories. How did a land of outcasts become a beacon of prosperity? It's a journey full of struggle, surprises, and the relentless spirit of those who refuse to give up. The story begins with a fleet of ships and a cargo of unwilling passengers. This is the tale of how Australia turned chains into opportunity. In 1788, 11 ships, the First Fleet, arrived in what's now Sydney Harbour. On board, over 700 convicts guarded by Marines and a handful of officials. Most were poor, convicted for petty crimes, and utterly unprepared for the alien landscape that greeted them. The Aboriginal people watched these newcomers with wary curiosity. The convicts' new life began with relentless labour clearing land, building shelters and struggling with unfamiliar tools. Food was scarce, punishment was harsh, and hope was in short supply. Escape was impossible. The vast bush was a deadlier prison than any wall. The settlement was a grim camp, clinging to survival at the edge of a continent. The idea of building a nation was unthinkable. They were simply trying to endure. Yet, in their struggle, the first roots of a new society took hold. Through hardship, they learned to adapt, and a sense of community slowly began to form. The forgotten people of a forgotten land were laying the groundwork for something unexpected. Endurance became the foundation of Australia's future. The early colony was a lesson in failure and adaptation. British crops withered in the harsh sun, city-bred convicts struggled to farm, supply ships were unreliable, and isolation was absolute. No news, no help, just endless distance. The settlers had to learn everything from scratch, which trees to use, when to plant, how to survive. Relations with Aboriginal people were fraught, marked by misunderstanding and tragic consequences. Disease devastated Indigenous communities, and the concept of terra nullius ignored their deep connection to the land. Despite setbacks, the colony slowly expanded. Explorers crossed the Blue Mountains, opening vast plains for sheep grazing. The wool industry took root, giving the colony its first real export. Emancipated convicts started farms and businesses, hinting at a free society. The settlement began to look inward, forging its own identity. From isolation and adversity, a new sense of self-reliance emerged. Australia was beginning to imagine a future beyond its prison origins. For decades, Australia was a sleepy outpost until gold was discovered in 1851. News of gold sparked a frenzy. People abandoned everything to seek their fortune. Waves of immigrants arrived from Britain, America, China and beyond, tripling the population in a decade. The goldfields were chaotic, tough and often lawless, but they fostered a spirit of mateship and equality. Backgrounds mattered less than hard work and helping your neighbour. Cities like Melbourne exploded in size and wealth, transforming into grand urban centres. The gold rush funded railways, telegraphs and new industries, giving the colonies confidence and ambition. The convict stain faded as free settlers reshaped society. The gold may have been in the ground, but it unearthed something greater, the foundations of a modern, independent Australia. The rush for riches created a new national character, bold, diverse and forward-looking. Australia was no longer just a penal colony, it was a land of opportunity. The gold rush was the catalyst for a nation ready to define itself. From chaos and hope, a new Australia was born. The dream of a united country was now within reach. By the late 1800s, Australia was a patchwork of 6 rival colonies, each with its own rules and borders. Trade barriers and divided armies made unity increasingly appealing. The idea of federation took hold: unite the colonies into one nation. Years of debate followed over power, identity, and even the location of the capital. A new Australian identity was emerging, celebrated in stories and songs about ordinary people and the land itself. The values of mateship, resilience, and a fair go united people across the continent. After a decade of negotiation, the colonies agreed. On January 1, 1901, the Commonwealth of Australia was born peacefully and democratically. 6 colonies became states in a new federal nation, with a temporary capital in Melbourne and plans for Canberra. Australia was no longer just a collection of British outposts. It was a young nation, ready to take its place on the world stage. United under the Southern Cross, Australians looked to the future with pride. The journey from penal colony to nationhood was complete. The 20th century tested Australia with wars, depression, and hardship. Yet the nation endured and grew stronger. After World War II, Australia launched a massive immigration program, welcoming millions from Europe and, later, the world. New Australians brought skills, culture, and determination, transforming society. The country discovered vast mineral wealth, iron, coal, gas, fueling decades of prosperity. Mining booms funded high living standards, healthcare, and social safety nets. Cities became vibrant, multicultural hubs. Cuisine and culture blended from every corner of the globe. Australia's prosperity was built on both its resources and its people. The nation that began as a starving prison camp became one of the world's richest and most diverse. Immigration and opportunity were the keys to its transformation. The modern Australia is a testament to reinvention and inclusion. From adversity, a miracle of multiculturalism and wealth emerged. The final ingredient in Australia's epic story was the world itself. Australia's story is one of resilience and reinvention. Founded on punishment and exile, it was never meant to succeed. Yet from hardship and despair, something extraordinary grew. Convicts, explorers, diggers, and farmers built a society that valued hard work and fairness. A unique character emerged, laid back, loyal, and irreverent. The journey from penal colony to prosperity is a source of immense pride. Australia continues to face challenges, including reconciling with its Indigenous history. But the same spirit that saw the first settlers through hardship still defines the nation. Optimism, humour, and a willingness to face the unknown are at its core. Today, Australia is a stable, wealthy, and welcoming nation. It turned chains into opportunity and prison walls into open horizons. The grand British experiment in punishment accidentally created one of the world's most successful societies. And that truly is a story worth telling.